Sharing my screen, and away we go. I want to welcome. I'm also going to go ahead and mute everybody's mic. So if you want to say something, just let me know in the chat box, and I can unmute your mic. Alrighty. So welcome everybody to Business Storytelling and Brand Development, and I'm really thrilled with the outpouring of students that we have here in the class tonight. It's very exciting to be able to talk to a full room and make sure that everybody's on the same page, getting the same information. So that's really exciting for Ken and I. I am Ginger Palmisano, and I am one of the instructors for the course. And then Ken DeGilio is also on the call, and he is our course director. So we'll be hearing from him in just a second. But I wanted to welcome you. Tonight we'll be talking about the class. We'll be talking about your Journey of Life map, which is part of the discussion board for week 1, and the CEO story, which is part of your assignment for week 1, and personal brand strategy. So let's get right to it. First of all, we're going to talk about the class. We're going to go over who's my teacher, what do they want, when are things due, where do I find materials, why branding and storytelling, and how does this help me? So first of all, I'm going to unmute Ken and let him tell a little bit more about himself. Off you go, Ken.
Okay, thanks. I want to welcome everyone like Ginger did. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If Ginger, you can let me know if I'm coming across okay.
We can hear you.
I'm getting a little feedback on my end, so it's a little distracting, but I'll keep going forward. Well, like I said, I want to welcome you to Business Storytelling and Brand Development. I think this is an exciting opportunity for you guys to really create meaning for the company that you're trying to develop through your business plan. And so Ginger and I are going to walk you through it every step of the way, just like we would in the real world as we would create it for a client or for our own companies. So I think that's really powerful. In fact, I use the same material or the same concepts for my own business, talking first about who we are as a personal brand, and then just as the course goes through, I'll just kind of overview real quick, and then I'll just talk about my bio. But doing market research, understanding the business model, understanding who your target audience is, and developing a unique brand that nobody else has based on your passion and the marketability of your product or service. So I think that's really a great opportunity, and then taking that and building a brand from it, and then creating a marketing outline basically for you. So it's a really strong, a lot of materials, a lot of opportunities for you guys to grow and think about how you can create a really strong brand. So just like you guys, I've been working all day, and I appreciate all the hard work that you put into your degree. And the first thing that we have you think about is your personal brand. And it's not enough just to have the degree. We want you to think about your whole strategy. And so this month we have you think how, connecting the dots between where you are now and where you want to go in October when you graduate and you walk off the stage. We want you to be prepared, and having this personal brand strategy is that foundation that you'll lay, not just for the personal brand, but also for the company that you're building, because you're going to bring in your own passion and interest into your company. We want to make sure that you're set up for success. So I think that's all of my intro of the course. And then Ginger, if you wanted to go on to the next slide. I just wanted to talk about myself a little bit, my background. Well, as you can see, I tweet a lot. And Ginger, yeah, you can go on, Ginger. I was just going to say you can move on to the next slide. I've been at Full Sail for 5 years now. I just had the big anniversary just the other month, last month, and I feel excited about the opportunity that I still enjoy coming to work each and every day. I enjoy working with you guys and seeing you through to helping you create something that is unique and only that you can develop. So that's that part of my background. The next slide then, I want to talk about my professional background and my education. So I grew up in Daytona, and I was influenced by tourism. As you can tell from the pictures, I grew up in Daytona Beach, and I used to skip high school to go to the 80s concerts. So I'm obviously dating myself, but it was a really good influence, and I drew a lot of that into my career and what my future goals would be. I was just a few, my house was just a few miles from the racetrack. So again, I saw the opportunities that tourism provided, and I wanted to be part of it somehow along with Disney. I went to Disney and saw Orlando grow up around the city grow up and see the influence that it had. And today, still, the tourism market is Florida's largest employer. So, look at opportunities that you have and the interest. And I just knew I'd be part of that industry growing up. I just didn't know what exactly. So, a little bit about my educational background. I went to University of Florida for my undergraduate in advertising. I got a job right out of college doing marketing, and then went back to grad school. My boss wanted to pay me on commission only, so it was just the real world hit, and I knew I wanted to teach someday, so I thought I'd get my master's early. So I went to Florida State, and I was able to work at the state park system, and I did PR for the state parks, which was a great insight into other things that would happen in my career. I left Tallahassee and moved to South Florida, where I was the marketing director for the Palm Beach County Zoo. It was different name changes, but it was the zoo there in Palm Beach. And then I went to Kentucky. I did a little bit of a career change and started working in nonprofits. And I lived in Lexington, which is a great city in Kentucky. And it was just a great, different way of life than it was in Daytona. And I was able to work for nonprofits and professional associations, and then a philanthropic organization that provided books to developing countries. In those positions, though, I used my marketing and PR skills, and that's what I liked the most, and what I missed the most, really, from my marketing jobs. And that moment came basically of um, that aha moment, basically, to say I need to get back. And so it's been 10 years now. I've been back in Central Florida, and I've held different jobs in marketing. And like I said, I've been at Full Sail for 5 years now. So time flies. It seems just like yesterday I was graduating college and doing that whole thing. But I did go back to school and get a second master's in internet marketing from Full Sail just a couple of years ago, and that helped me launch my business. So I can say that I was kind of in your seat. I guess I was just in a different department, so I know what it is like to have to work all day and change gears and work on homework and try to think about a business. But I did well. I finished with a 3.9, so I challenge you to do well and make the most of the opportunities that you have. So you can go to the next slide, Ginger. It's just some of the work background again. And if you have any questions, I have worn a lot of hats, and it has helped me do a lot of different things and enjoy what I do each and every day. So I guess that's it. I'll leave you in what I'm doing currently is I'm started my business in Launch Mob Media, and I have some stories to share this month about what I've done and maybe some mistakes I've made and some challenges, but also some good things that I've done, and share those stories with you this month. But for now, I'll just put that out there. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Like I said, I'm on Twitter, so I'm Orlando Ken, and doing some cool things out here in the internet world. So I hope you follow along with me, and I'll look forward to learning more about you, and you can learn more about me as we continue. So I'd like to introduce, I guess, Ginger again, and she can take the show, and I'll be around for questions. If you want to arrange any time to meet with me, I'd be happy to talk to you and arrange some different times or chat with you virtually. I've been doing Google Hangouts, and we can do some different things based on your availability. So if you're listening to this after the fact, then just let me know, and I'd be happy to talk to you about your business model or your logos or marketing, whatever you'd like to talk about. So welcome to Business Storytelling and Brand Development. Hope you have a great month, and here's Miss Ginger.
What? No drum roll? I'm just kidding. So thank you so much, Ken, for and I can only emphasize right along with Ken that we really do understand. Both Ken and I got our degrees while we were working full time and living life and trying to struggle with that work life balance, and it's even harder when you're doing a work life school balance. And so we really do understand that sometimes life just happens. Sometimes despite your best efforts, deadlines get missed. We truly do understand that. And so I encourage you, don't let that pull you down. Don't let that discourage you. Don't be like, oh, I missed one deadline. I should just take I should just, forget the rest of the class and I can't do this. And don't let that discourage you. Reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you. We do the best that we can to be understanding and be there for you. And just sometimes you just need that listening ear to go, oh my gosh, I've got so much on my plate and I don't know how to do it all. And I don't, just somebody to vent to. And so we're here for that as well as any questions you may have for the class. So, hello, I'm Ginger, and I'm really excited to be with you on the journey this month. We're going to do a lot of pushing you, and hopefully your personal brand is going to grow, your business brand is going to grow. And we're always really excited to see how far you've come by the end of the month as far as developing your business and really pushing yourself further than you thought you could go. A little bit of my background. Ken went from Florida to Kentucky, and I went from Kentucky to Florida. So it's kind of interesting how we ended up working together. But I did grow up in Kentucky. I grew up in northern Kentucky, about 5 miles south of Cincinnati, Ohio. And so I'm a huge Wildcat fan. I was really excited last year when they won the NCAA, and I hope they'll do it again this year. But it's always exciting to grow up. In an area that is very business focused. And so growing up, it was all about business. It was all about industry and business and things like that. And so even though when I went to school, my passion was theater and the arts and things like that, I still always had that yen for business. And I still, knew that business is really where it is. And there's a reason why it's called show business, because it is the business of the show that really makes the difference between success and, kind of falling into obscurity. So when it came time for college, I decided, hey, let's go where the beaches are versus not so much beach in Kentucky. Um, so I went to Pensacola Christian College, which is in the Panhandle of Florida. Some people could like to call it LA, which is also Lower Alabama, not quite the LA that we're all familiar with. And Lauren, that's funny. Oh, that's so funny. Anyway, we're talking a little. For those of you who are watching the recording, we're talking a little NCAA basketball in the chat box. So um, that's really funny. Anyway, so I went to Pensacola Christian. Didn't see much of the beach. Actually, I had that nice reality check of, oh, college is not about playtime. College is about a lot of hard work. And I was a theater major, so if I wasn't studying your basics, I was in the theater. I was helping mount a show, or I was rehearsing a show, or I was performing in a show, or that's the nature of it. And so I really did get a taste for what entertainment really is all about. And it's a lot of hard work. It's rewarding, but it's a lot of hard work. I went on to get my master's in arts and in theater, and had a great time at Pensacola. Was able to teach as well as take classes while I was there. At one point, I was teaching 8 classes and taking 3 of my own. So I was, up till 3 in the morning and back up at 5, and kind of doing what you do to get it all done. Theater nerds unite! I love it, Ashley. Then I went to Pensacola Christian, or I went from Pensacola Christian and decided I was going to, stay in Florida, move maybe a little further south. And that's when I'm actually going to go between 2 slides here. So forgive me. I went to Marriott Vacation Club International headquarters, which is here in Orlando, and got a lot of really wonderful experience there in branding and in advertising, which is very, very similar to theater. It's all about the visual. It's all about the presentation. It's all about, making those statements and telling the story. And that's really where I learned the storytelling aspect of branding and of advertising. And it was a really exciting time to be in Orlando and to be a part of. They were really changing the face of the vacation ownership. Timeshare really had a bad name in those days, and Marriott did a lot to change that kind of perception. You still have the kind of, oh, nobody wants to take the 90-minute tour, but it's nowhere close to what it used to be, as far as just it was something you stayed as far away from as possible. So when I went from Marriott, I actually went to my true love, which is the mouse. I do love that mouse very much. So I got to work at Disney and Global Entertainment. It is a very small department, but a very impactful department. We actually were responsible for every character appearance around the globe. So anytime any Disney character appeared, it was our responsibility to make sure that the event went off flawlessly. To make sure that if Mickey was appearing in Holland on television, that he was not anywhere else. There was no Mickey Mouse showing up on a on a ship. There was no Mickey Mouse in the park that was aware or that was out, because we never wanted it to ever come about where somebody saw Mickey Mouse in two places at one time. That's just a small example of the different things that we did. I got to work with Johnny Depp's manager, not Johnny Depp specifically, but close enough. It's his sister, so she's real nice. She was great to work with. But had some great experiences there. And again, you don't find a stronger brand and one that really knows how to tell its story quite so well as Disney. And so it was a wonderful experience. I worked very closely with the park in Hong Kong, park in Tokyo, the park in Paris, and had some oversight actually with those parks. Had a great time with those international experiences. Being on an international call with Japan at 10 o'clock at night is a really interesting experience, I'll tell you that. And we'll get into some of those stories maybe as we go throughout our course, but I don't want to belabor that point too much. But while I was at Disney, they did suggest that I go back and get my MBA, which I was like, oh, wow, I don't know if I want to go back and get my MBA or not. I had already gotten a paralegal degree at Rollins College and had a great experience there. At one time, I wanted to be an attorney, and I decided I really didn't want to be an attorney. I wanted to play an attorney in a scene in a theater. So, but that's kind of an aside. But I was like, wow, an MBA, that's a lot of math, and I don't really like math that much. I can do budgets and I can do things like that, but yeesh, advanced financial management was a little beyond where I was prepared to go. But like many of you, I'm sure you were like, you know what? That's a couple of classes that I may not be too interested in, but by and large, this is going to be really good for my career and for where I want to go in my life. So I did get my MBA at Rollins, and it was very difficult, but it was well worth it. And I'm really proud to say that I graduated from there and that I finished, and I finished well. And so it was a wonderful experience with that. On a personal level, I am married to that fella you'll see in the middle there. And then I have two wonderful kids. My stepson is 10 years old. He'll be 11 just next week, actually. And he has autism. He is a joy and he is wonderful. He is the sweetest boy. And I'm just so thrilled to be his stepmom. My husband and I are very actively involved in autism related events. Actually, we own a nonprofit where we help organizations be more welcoming to persons with disabilities, as well as my husband does advocacy and he does diet group meetings for those who are on special diets due to disabilities. We just kind of, are knee deep in everything disability related. My daughter, who you'll see over there in the little pigtails, she just turned one. Actually, that's her at her first birthday party. She just turned one in December, and so can't believe she's already 1 year old. And then my husband and I just celebrated our second anniversary. So we're kind of new to the whole, you know, marriage and kids and all of that realm, but it's a wonderful thing, and they're very supportive, and I love them dearly. So and that's what we do, why we do what we do. A lot of times you look around and you go, why am I putting myself through this? And it's for our passion, it's for those that we love, and without that it wouldn't be worth it. So that's me. Thanks, Ashley. So we covered who's my teacher, maybe a little too in depth. You may know more about us than you ever wanted to know. But okay, now let's get to the really thing that you want to know, which is what do they want? What do you want from us? Well, we want you to be successful. We want you to do that by reading the assignment directions, watching or attending the virtual sessions. Obviously attending is the preference for everybody. I think for students and for us, because it is easier when you're actually live and you can ask those questions as they're top of your mind. But if you can't attend, we certainly understand that. Again, we understand that work-life balance and trying to make everything work. So I do, please do watch the virtual sessions though if you're unable to attend them, because it's so very important to get all this information. Remember to use your APA for your papers. All of the assignments, except for the last assignment, is a paper, and it does need to be APA format. Now, we're not Nazis about it. You can speak in first person as you need to and things like that, but use proper spelling and grammar. Use a title page and page numbers. Please make sure you cite your sources. One of my big heartbreaks is when I get a paper that is just amazing and there's no citations on it, because that can lead to plagiarism issues and everything else. And we don't want you to be in that boat. So please, please, please make sure you cite your sources. And there's wonderful tools online of how to, if you type the source in to a lot of these APA engines, it'll spit out the APA citation for you, and you just copy and paste it into your paper. So it's really, really easy to do. Please do that part for me. I hate taking off points for stuff like that. Can you tell? Make sure that you ask questions. Ken and I love questions. We love to know that you're engaged and that you're learning. And we know that by, the questions that we get and where you are as far as understanding or frustration levels and things like that. And we want to help you with that. We want to be a resource for you. We're in this journey with you, not, we don't want to push and pull you along. We want to know that you're right there with us. So ask those questions, and please be professional. Make sure that when you send an email, you give us the salutation and you sign it. Make sure that you give us a way to contact you. If you're leaving a voicemail for us, make sure that we can understand you. Make sure you leave your phone number maybe a couple of times to make sure that it didn't cut out or whatever. Just be really professional with that. As far as contacting us goes, for whatever reason, my desk phone does not work. We have tried and tried and tried to make that sucker work, and it just won't work. So I have posted my Google Voice number, but really the best way to get in touch with me is on email. The email goes right to my phone. So 9 times out of 10, you'll get a response very, very quickly, unless I'm asleep or helping one of my kids. I'm generally really, really on it as far as the email goes. So I encourage you to reach out to me that way. Plus that, or if you need, if you need me to call, thanks, Charmaine. Charmaine said, that's true. You wrote me right back today. um, make sure that you, let me know the nature of your question. And if you need me to call you, that's not a problem. Just put your phone number on there and give me a couple of times that work really well for you, and I will make one of those times work for me. Okay. So I don't want you to feel like, well, all she'll ever do is email, because that's not it at all. I just want to make sure that I'm making the best use of your time, because I know your time is so very precious. So that covers what do they want? When are things due? Well, you should have received the course at a glance in your welcome email. It's also posted on FSO, and this is the layout of the class as far as when things are due and what the reading assignments are. The podcasts, you get to those by going through FS Connect, and on the left-hand side down toward the bottom, there's an iTunes or iTunes U. If you click on that, it'll take you right to the Full Sail University podcasts. And you just scroll down to find BSB, EBMS, and then we're BSB in there. So that's where you're going to find those podcasts. Now, where do I find my materials? Well, we already had a little bit of a discussion on that as far as where iTunes U is, but also we want to make sure that if there's something that should be showing that you go, I don't see this anywhere, please let us know, because sometimes things, they just get a hiccup on the system and they're not showing up for you, but they show up for us. So let us know that. We're happy to pop right in the system, see what we can do to help with that. There's some really wonderful resources for you on FS Connect. I'm always a little scared when they go, we're going to be changing our entire platform. but I will really say they have improved it tremendously. iTunes U is really easy to find now. Lynda.com, if you have not been on there, oh my goodness, you could spend hours on that thing. If you go under organizations, and I do have a little tutorial on the podcast about this as well, but if you go under organizations, Lynda.com is one of your options under organizations. And if you go through that, it's a no cost thing. It's covered under your tuition. And it is something that it costs a lot of money otherwise, if you do it outside of Full Sail, but they have videos on everything you could ever want to learn. So I encourage you, like, if you're not really confident in something, but you've always wanted to learn something, please use lynda.com. For example, Photoshop's not a requirement for this class by any stretch. But if you go, oh, I've always wanted to learn Photoshop, or I always wanted to figure out how to use Photoshop, lynda.com has got tutorials starting from here's how to open Photoshop to here's how to do a vector shape in Photoshop. I mean, it's just the whole gamut of how to do things in different software programs. And if you're anything like me, these Macs came loaded with all of these wonderful, applications that I would love to learn how to use. I don't really have a lot of knowledge about Illustrator. I can get in and do a few things, but using Lynda, I can really learn how to use Illustrator, and then that's something you can use on your resume as well. You can say, hey, I've taken classes in Illustrator. I know it. I know how to use it. And that's a really great thing for you to take advantage of. And as Ken says in the chat box, we've created some videos for you on iTunes that'll be helpful for your assignments. So please let us know if you need additional help with that. Also, the library is through FS Connect, and we're going to be talking more about the library next week. But if you need that in the meantime, that's where that's located. And then the resources tab also on FSO. Do take a look at that because we've posted some worksheets and some things that'll really help you under the resources tab. So why branding and storytelling, and how does this help me? Well, like I said a little bit before, when you're looking at a brand, it really does tell a story. I mean, nobody walks into Disney and goes, doesn't think about, maybe their favorite movie or their favorite character, or just the experience of when you were a little kid. Maybe you're taking your kids there for the first time and you're thinking back to when you were a little kid. It's those stories that build a brand. It's those stories that, oh, Kevin is asking how to find the podcasts. It's in FS Connect on the left-hand side. You'll see iTunes U. Click on iTunes U, and you'll be able to navigate there to the podcast right from there. Um, so we want you to do more with your company than just, here's my logo, here's my tagline, blah, blah, blah. It's your story. And that's why we put so much emphasis in this first week on telling your story and what is your brand. The brand called you is a resource that if you haven't already read it, you'll be reading that this week as part of your assignments. And it's such a wonderful way to think about yourself as a brand. And it's really, really important as a CEO or even just as a business professional to know who you are and how you brand yourself. And that's how it's going to help you. It gives you a leg up in the workforce. It gives you a leg up in the industry because you know who you are as a brand, and you know what your passion is. You know what motivates you. When days are really rough, you can go back to that and say, you know what? I know what my paradigm is. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I know that today has been a rotten day, but tomorrow I'm going back out there again because I'm doing what I am passionate about and I'm doing what I love to do. And I may not have loved it today, but I know overall I love this. And this is what's going to make a big difference for me. So we want to help you along that journey all along the way this month. And so we're going to start, like I said, with you. And it's all about, your journey of life. Ken has done a worksheet on the Journey of Life map. And Ken, if you want to jump in here and talk a little bit more about Journey of Life, I'm going to unmute you as soon as I find you in my list. Here we go. All right, there you go, Ken.
Okay, so just real quick on business storytelling and the difference between storytelling and business storytelling is think about just the word business and think about it being told for a purpose. So what we're doing here is trying to get you to brainstorm some great stories that you have in your arsenal that you're going to create. for you to think about which story. It doesn't mean you're going to tell every story on this life map of yours, but maybe there's one that really stands out as like an aha moment, something that happened to you, somebody who influenced you, moving to a place, getting in a new teacher, you know, whatever it was. Maybe all of these things make up every story that you have, but that's really the difference with business storytelling is you're telling the story for the purpose uh, and the reason for that story to that specific audience. So, for instance, an investor might want to hear about your knowledge and skills and abilities. So there might be some story that you have throughout your life where it shows your skills and abilities, something you were able to accomplish without without a lot of resources or a challenge that nobody else could figure out. So in every purpose, maybe another example would be trying to recruit a new employee to work with you. So you'd want to show them your passion for your music or your acting ability or your drama. So you could talk about, you know, what you did to learn lines overnight or, you know, whatever. So there's these different stories that we all have that are very insightful about who we are and what makes us unique and different than everybody else. And those are the ones we want to figure out how to tell, how to manipulate, how to put out there to an audience that's going to listen and engage in your story to make you different than everybody else. So that's really the goal of the Journey of Life map is for you to think about all the stories that you have, your own life, and to think about which one you could tell as uh, for a specific purpose and for a specific audience. And that's it, really. I mean, it's very simple, but it does make you think about everything that has influenced you, you know, different things along the way. And, you know, I try to do this too along with you guys, and I think of different ones. And I always try to fine tune it for, you know, the occasion. As you meet somebody new the first time networking in a business environment, and they ask, well, what do you do? How did you get started in that? And then you kind of think about those different stories and why that was important for you in that situation. You don't want to just tell them your whole bio. Well, I was born in Daytona, and then I went there. You know, we did a little bit of that because we wanted you to see the full picture of who we are. But you know, in a typical first-time meet, you pick that story for that purpose. So that's it. So that's all I wanted to share on that, and hopefully that helps. And you keep at it and you keep refining your story. So
Thank you, Ken. And Ken's exactly right. You know, this little map, a lot of the tools that we're going to be giving you this month, and a lot of your instructors throughout your entire career at Full Sail, we'll be giving you tools and things that you can use. And our hope is that you use them beyond just our class or beyond just the assignment, because these are things that you can put in your arsenal that will help you as you continue on in your career and as you continue to build your company. So we encourage you to hang on to these different things that we're going to be giving you, so that you can use those. And not, it's, you know, in master's classes, it's really hard sometimes not to focus on, well, this is an assignment and I got to get this done and I got to get this assignment done. But for master's classes, it really is about much, much more than just the assignment. It's about how am I using this assignment to push my career further? How am I using this assignment to make me grow as a person? And so I really encourage you to look at these assignments as ways in which you can enrich your life and grow. Ken puts a note in here for your video. Don't just do a bio story. Pick one of those points on your journey of life map. And I'm going to show you a sample video of a CEO story, and I think you'll see a little bit better how he used his journey of life map to create his CEO story. So we'll get right to that next. So the CEO story, a lot of people kind of get a little nervous about this for whatever reason. But really, I want you to think about it from the perspective of, like Ken said, um, you know, take it from the perspective of you're either having a cup of coffee with somebody, or they've said, okay, tell me what you're passionate about. Why did you decide to go back and get a master's degree? Or what made you choose the career path that you chose? Or why should I invest in your company? Picture that you're, you know, kind of telling your story. And again, I'm going to show you a sample of that, but you know, just the basics of it. It's a 3 to 4 minute video. You're going to mark it in YouTube as unlisted. Please don't mark it as private because then we won't be able to see it to grade it. You're going to use your journey of life map to help you determine what story you should tell or how you should tell the story of your brand. You can look at TED.com for ideas. And as you're doing that, you got a blog post due for TED.com. The blogs are not due per se until the end of the month. And that's just to allow you as much time as possible to complete those. So make sure that you're kind of keeping that in mind. Don't forget about those blogs. But if you look at TED.com for ideas, you might be able to knock your blog post out as well, and then you can take that off your list. But it's really the video is about you. It's about your passion, about your company, etc. So let's take a look at a sample one, and I'll let this go ahead and play, and then we'll come right back. Oh, sorry about that. See my cool animations? They would have been so wonderful.
Hello, I'm Craig Ramaley, owner and founder of Ramaley Productions. At Ramaley Productions, we make shows. Big, bold, beautiful, loud shows. We're looking for some hardworking, creative people to come along for the journey. I grew up in the middle of a cornfield. Literally, in the middle of a cornfield. My dad was an opera singer, and my mom, she was an artist. I guess it was only natural that I grew up on the stage. I played one of the seven dwarfs, an angel, and apparently Hitler Youth. As I got older, I realized that singing was a really good way to pick up girls. Like her. Pretty good, huh? Yay for me. As I said, my dad was an opera singer, and I was always the loudest kid on the playground, so it sort of seemed like a good idea that I become an opera singer too. So I set off to college to learn to become an opera singer. I had my voice lessons, and I studied theory, harmony, orchestration, music history, all the really fun stuff. Halfway through college, some friends of mine and I had the great idea that we should go study opera in Italy. So we found a program and off we went. Except we had to pay for it, which proved a little problematic. Most of my friends either borrowed money from their parents or took out student loans to pay for the trip to Italy. But I thought, there has to be a better way. And using all the skills that I learned from my studies, I went back to my hometown and put on a show. That was the turning point of my life. Sure, put on a show. I do it all the time, right? Not quite. I was always in someone else's production. This time, I was the one making all the calls. I had to book the hall, I had to book the musicians, program the show, get people into the seats. This was going to be a lot more difficult than I originally thought. But a funny thing happened on my way to the theater. Turns out, I loved doing all that stuff. I loved being the one to take the vision in my head and finding a way to make it happen for real on stage. Since then, my shows have gotten bigger, better, bolder, and louder. I'm really excited about the future and can't wait to see what happens with Ramaley Productions. Perhaps I'll have a show on Broadway someday, or Madison Square Garden, perhaps Vegas. But it all comes back to that turning point in my life when I needed to get some cash, go buy some cappuccino, and hang out with some Italian girls who were studying opera. Kind of funny how things work out.
That's pretty cool, huh? That's really all we're looking for. So don't let this assignment intimidate you. If you're like, oh my gosh, he has transitions and he has all these, fancy stuff in his video, don't let that overwhelm you. It's just fine if it's just you and the camera and you just want to, speak from your heart a little bit. I do encourage you to prepare something though, maybe even write something out, especially if you're not as good speaking extemporaneously, because before you know it, you'll have a 10-minute video when the assignment is 3 to 4 minutes. Then you're like, oh, I have to cut this down, and what do I leave out? And so I encourage you to kind of think that through a little bit. But again, don't let this part of the assignment overwhelm you. The rest of the assignment is in the assignment directions, and it's, pretty cut and dried. It's pretty straightforward. The other thing that I wanted to go over with you, other than the CEO story, specifically, is the personal brand strategy. And that's really, when you look at your overall personal brand strategy, these are the elements of the paper part. You're going to look at, 3 to 5 SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So we're going to go through each one of these because SMART goals, for some reason, really tend to snag people up. So I want to make sure that you really understand what we mean when we say SMART goals. And I believe you had these last month as well, but it bears going over because they will never leave you. It's one of those things that just keeps coming back to haunt you. So make sure that you're looking at these. So when we say specific, the specific portion of the goal answers the questions who, what, when, where, which. So it's not appropriate to say specifically, I'll make some new contacts, because that's not specific. Just saying the word specifically doesn't make it specific. However, I will make 4 new contacts in my field by using existing contacts in LinkedIn is very specific. With your SMART goals, every aspect of SMART needs to be in the goal. So it needs to be, every goal needs to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Measurable, concrete criteria for success. It answers the questions how much or how many. It's not enough to say I will get a lot of followers. It needs to say I will gain 5 additional followers a month on Twitter by tweeting articles of interest every day. So that goal contains every element of specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. Attainable, also agreed to. Can I do this? Is this possible? So, no, I'll be CEO of a Fortune 100 company by the middle of 2013. That's not going to be attainable. Unless you're already in a Fortune 100 company and you're already really high in the ranks, then that's possible. But for the most part, for most of us, that's not an attainable goal at this point in our careers. But yes, I will join a Fortune 500 company in an internship capacity by the end of 2013. That's much more attainable. That's much more agreed to, in the realm of, can I do this and is this possible? Realistic. It can be a high goal. I don't want you to go, well, I guess I'll organize all my paper clips by color by the end of 2013. That's a goal I'm pretty sure I can get. Make it a high goal, but the question is, are you willing and able to do this? It goes kind of, realistic and attainable really are tied very tightly together, and sometimes the lines blur between those two, but they really have the heart of the SMART goal within them. So realistic is not, I will win an Emmy in 2013. I'm not in a show. I'm not, on television right now. So the thought of winning an Emmy in 2013, not realistic at all. However, I will complete my script, investor pitch, and business proposal by the end of 2013 is very realistic. You'll be doing that. It's a high goal. It's not going to be an easy thing to do, but it is realistic. Time bound is also tangible. It has a sense of urgency. No, I'll finish my degree. Well, you wouldn't be a very motivated student if it was just, at some point I'll finish. However, I will graduate from Full Sail University in 2013. I will accomplish this by completing my assignments on time and according to instructions. That is a fantastic SMART goal, because it has every element. It is specific, it is measurable, it is attainable, it is realistic, and it is time bound. So keep those SMART goals in the top of your head. When you write your goal out, look through it. Is that goal in and of itself have every element of SMART? If you have questions on that, please, please, please contact Ken or myself and say, here are my SMART goals. Am I on the right track, or do you see any problems with this? Because we want you to get this element really solid in your mind. With the social media part of the assignment, we want actual screenshots of where you are currently. We want screenshots of your Facebook and your LinkedIn, and we want to see what you're doing with that. We want you to connect with us on LinkedIn. Ken and I are both on LinkedIn. There's also, or your online profile, as Ken put in the chat box. We want you to connect with us on LinkedIn. We have a business storytelling and brand development group on LinkedIn, and so we want you to join that. As Ken was talking about tweeting, hashtag one brand class, because you are the number one brand class. We all know it. Let's admit it. Um, so, make sure that you're connecting with us on that. Ken says it could also be something specific like SoundCloud and YouTube, and all of that's covered in the assignment directions. But Ken keeps adding to the chat box, so sorry about that. I'm getting distracted. But yeah, it could be a variety of social media. It's really, we want to see what social media you currently have going, and we want you to do your online ID calculator to see where you are. Are you, digitally distinct? Are you digitally disastrous? Where are you in terms of your personal brand? It's really important to see where you are in order to see where you need to go next. And so keep that in mind. And I just got a little warning on my GoToMeeting. So if you're having problems hearing me, let me know in the chat box, and I'll see if I can change a setting or something. So that's really the content that I have for you this evening. I don't want to drag this out or anything. I know you guys have a lot to do, and this is probably one of our longest virtual sessions that we'll have. But we want to make sure that we got a really good, solid foundation. I didn't go over every aspect of the assignment for week one. Like I said, the instructions are there, and they're very, very specific. So if you have questions, I want you to reach out to Ken or I. Um, Ken says, "Go Google yourself," and that's true. Go Google yourself and see, where you are in terms of social media, and we want you to focus this week on you and you yourself as a brand. Before you can really start working on your business, we have to know where you are personally. So, I thank you so much for joining us tonight. And if you have questions, let me know. You can type that in the chat box, and we'll answer questions at this time. But if you don't have any questions, feel free to leave the meeting, and we'll talk to you soon. I had the same problem. There's a lot of Ashley Gordons. When I was Ginger Smith, oh my goodness, it was really, really difficult. So that Ken says, add your city and see if that helps. Add those little things that are going to help make your Google search very effective for you. So good suggestion there, and good question, Ashley. So as I was saying, if you have questions, go ahead and type those in the chat box. If you don't have any questions, feel free to leave the room or leave the meeting. Doesn't hurt my feelings at all. I totally understand. But please reach out to us this week, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm really excited to see how many folks were here tonight. So thanks. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks and good night. Oh, you go to for the podcast videos. Okay, you're going to go to FS Connect, and on the left-hand side, you'll see iTunes U, and you'll be able to navigate to the podcast from there. Oh, for this meeting, this recording, I'm going to be putting a link to it on the virtual session discussion board, right on FSO. No problem. Good night. Have a good one.